first week of the Pokémon Premier League, and it was gonna be a baptism of fire for Coach Shroom. He was going up against Commissioner Gray once again. Now these two have been battling a fair bit lately, and it was pretty even so far, but I had to try and look beyond that. Could the Commissioner be one of the people I was looking for? Seemed unlikely that they were taking part in vigilante activities with so much pressure for him running a league season. That left the possibility that they were the insider for the Vice Gambling Consortium. A little more likely. Gray was a known gambler, riding their luck on several occasions. And let's not forget, they openly admitted fixing the scheduling in previous season of the Pokémon Premier League to get that battle against Shroom in the first place. But their style just didn't gel with what I knew of the Consortium. I was looking for someone who knew how they functioned, how they thought, and Commissioner Gray didn't fit that mold. Even so, I'd have to keep an eye out. Shroom may trust him, but I still wasn't sure. Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and welcome to week 1 of the Pokémon Premier League Season 4. Yes indeed, we are back in the PPL, very excited to be here, facing off against old friends and new ones. Should be very exciting. You've have seen the draft a few days ago at least. And yeah, we're just going to crack straight on with it because we've got a lot of really great battles to come. And first up, we are going up against none other than the Commissioner themselves, Gray, and the Vancouver Titangs. Their links down in the description below with everyone else. Make sure you check them out. Yeah, Gray, I mean, one of my best friends in the world. Cannot say enough lovely things about them. They do a ton of work behind the scenes for a bunch of leagues, including this one. So go and show them some love. Great battler, multiple recent championships won. So yeah, you'll get some great content by watching theirs. But yeah, not going to be an easy one this time. Their team that they can choose from is Darkrai, Sneasler, Ceruledge, Zapdos, Blastoise, Reuniclus, Rillaboom, Duraludon, Hisuian Avalugg, Dedenne, Porygon, and Gligar. 2 Tera captains going on there, being the Ceruledge and the Reuniclus, both of which are fairly terrifying. But yes, we've got a team that is going to go up against them, and it's starting off with Booster Energy Attack, Great Tusk, Adamant Nature, 224 in there, 100 Speed F, 184 Speed is allowing us, I believe, to outspeed everything unscarfed after a spin, and should be enough for a few of the sort of slower mons too. Headlong Rush, Head Smash, Mega Horn, and Rapid Spin. This is going to be a very specific breaker because looking at my opponent's team, there is not a lot that wants to switch into this. One of the main things is going to be, I'm anticipating a very physically defensive Zapdos. So Great Tusk is going to be my dedicated lead. And ostensibly, I just want to try and head smash the Zapdos. If it is a physically defensive variant, as I'm anticipating, we will outspeed, and any hit into a head smash with a booster should be OHKOing it. So that would be something to get out of the way very early for some of my other threats to come in later. Outside of that, Headlong Rush, Head Smash, and Mega Horn can do a lot of damage, especially with Mega Horn coming in on the likes of Reuniclus and Rillaboom that would normally be able to do a good amount against me. Now, I'm very happy with my defensive core on this team, but this is one of the matches that I'm so unconfident going into just because of the fact that Sneasler can ruin my life. So I've got to get creative early game, and we are bringing physically defensive Rocky Helmet Iron Moth. 200 HP and max defense, 56 speed with a timid nature is allowing us to outrun the stuff like the Rillaboom and all the mons that Gray has along those speed lines. Fiery Dance, Discharge, U-Turn, and Morning Sun. We want to be able to try and switch in on the Sneasler and get some Rocky Helmet chip, Morning Sun back up. If it's banded, then it has a chance to 2-hit KO us, and I can see banded coming here. But I don't think they're going to want to stay in on us with Sneasler. So the idea with Iron Moth is get a bit of chip, force it out, especially if it's paired with the Rillaboom and it comes in and gets its Unburden activated. We want to be able to force it out and reset that so that I've got stuff that can outspeed it later on down the line. So, third member is going to be my big guy. It is Lucky O'Brien. Haxorus is here. It is a Lumberry Unnerve set, Tera Poison, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Poison Jab, and Dragon Dance. We want to outspeed everything after a Dragon Dance. 188 attack at +1 should be 2-hit KOing the majority of Grey's team. Yeah, we've gotten Tera Poison here to counteract the Sneasler, and we've gone Lumberry specifically for the Zapdos. I'm not running protective pads, so there is every chance that if the Zapdos does come in on me, I can get statics, and the Lumberry is a one chance reprisal, I should say, from that. Am I worried about Diaclaw? No, because I don't think Grey will be running Diaclaw. I think they'll be running Gunk Shot, because I know that they prefer Gunk to Diaclaw on Sneasler, so that's what I'm anticipating. I'm not too worried about Diaclaw shenanigans here, but we have Tera Poison to resist its dual stabs, and with Haxorus' natural bulk, we should be able to tank through. Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Poison Jab is very standard coverage on Haxorus, so we're hoping that it can do more work for me as it has done in the past. Then we have our big pace guy. It is Uni. Uni is here, ladies and gentlemen. We have just gone Tera Electric. That is not for want of anything better, but for the fact that Grey's only immunity to Electric is that Gligar, which I don't really see coming to this one, so hopefully Volt Switches will be free. We have Heavy Duty Boots, we have Hurricane, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, and Thunder Wave on there. We've gone max speed just to speed tie with the Darkrai, and Thunder Wave is going to be super useful for trying to slow down the likes of said Darkrai and the Sneasler and a few other things besides. And then we have the defensive core, starting off with specially defensive Porygon 2. With Trace, we have Tri-Attack, Foul Play, Ice Beam, and Recover. We've just gone 3 attacks Recover today. No Thunder Waving here because we have that on Kilowattrel. And we should be able to tank any hits from any of the special offense that Grey is packing. The likes of Darkrai, Zapdos, Blastoise, Reuniclus, even Dedenne, they can't break through specially defensive P2, and we've got enough physical defense to at least take a hit from the likes of non-banded Sneasler, Ceruledge, Rillaboom, things like that. Obviously we've got to look out for knockoff, which I think would be quite prevalent, but even without a Violite, specially defensive P2 is such a monster that it will take those special hits just fine. Finally, we have our physically defensive guy, and that is going to be Hisuian Quillfish here. Very physically defensive. We've got enough pace to outspeed a few of the slower mons and creep them. We've got Barb Barrage, Crunch, Haze, and Spikes. This is one of my main checks to the Ceruledge. I can see the Ceruledge coming. I can realistically see it being Clear Amulet with setup going on there. So we have Haze to get through that. Spikes are a luxury. If I see an opportunity, grand, but I'm not anticipating clicking it that much. It's mainly going to be chipping down with Barb Barrage to get Toxics here and there, and stop setup on the likes of that Ceruledge, and maybe even the Reuniclus if that comes along too. Certainly the Sneasler we can take a hit from and haze away any Swords Dances. So that is the team I'm going with. Honestly, I'm predicting this to be a top 6 bring with Rillaboom over Blastoise. Like, I would anticipate Scarf Darkrai as a speed control for +1 Haxorus. Banded Sneasler can break me. Ceruledge could be an endgame. Zapdos will be physically defensive. Reuniclus could be any number of things, and I do think it's going to be the Rillaboom over the Blastoise. And if it is, then we're going to have to watch out for Swords Dance Unburden Sneasler. But hopefully we've got enough stuff in the back to be able to deal with those. So, without further ado, let's get into the battle screen and see what Grey has decided to bring against us. So, as you can see, Grey has decided to bring Ceruledge, Reuniclus, Zapdos, Darkrai, Sneasler, and Rillaboom. It's exactly as we anticipated. With the Rillaboom there, it's looking like it could be Unburdened Sneasler, which is dangerous. Although Rillaboom is a decent stop to the likes of my Great Tusk too, so it could be there for that purpose as well. Plenty of options for knockoff going on, so I've got to be careful with my Violite core, but I am going to make the lead I always said I would. We lead with Great Tusk, and we see what Grey wants to do against us. So here we go, PPL Season 4 Week 1 against Grey and the Vancouver Titangs. They are going to be leading with the abysmally named Reuniclus, as I'm going with my booster attack Great Tusk. We're going to get that booster straight off the bat. Now, this isn't a great matchup for me in terms of typing, but I will be outspeeding this, and I am at +1 attack from the booster. So realistically, I don't think this is something that they are going to want to stay in on. But either way, I am going to go for the Megahorn. Now, it's important to note that she has brought both the Tera captains. This is a Tera Ground Reuniclus, and the Ceruledge is Tera Ghost. But either way, I don't think they're going to want to Tera on this off-rip at the risk of taking a massive amount of damage. I am just going to go for my Megahorn. If they want to stay in, we're going to get a huge hit off. And as you'll see, they don't want any part of it. I'm going to get out of there with Reuniclus, and it is going to be the Zapdos that comes in. This is kind of what I was anticipating happening, but I didn't want to go straight for Head Smash, just in case they did decide to stay in and Tera. But as you'll see, it is Rocky Helmet. It is clearly a physically defensive build, which is what we saw coming. Now, I am built to outspeed this with change. So what I'm going to do, seeing that Megahorn damage, is I'm just going to go for Head Smash. If I can get Zapdos out of the way early game, I will take all of the recoil to make that happen. And as you'll see, they are going to stay in. The Head Smash comes in, and turn 2, we are going to clean out the Zapdos. Now, I was super happy about this because Zapdos was one of the big things stopping my Haxorus from doing a lot of work. Now, we take a vast amount of recoil, but with Zapdos gone, for me, it's worth it. So in comes the Rillaboom. Now, honestly, there's not a whole huge amount that I want to switch in off-rip to a Rillaboom. This thing could predict my switch out and go for knockoff. But it is dangerous for them to do so if they have seen the Megahorn. So, honestly, while I could be going into the Hisuian Quillfish here to get an Intimidate and tank a Grassy Glider or Wood Hammer, I am just going to stay in and click Megahorn. Maybe this is an early throw, losing my Great Tusk, but honestly, I'm at very low health, and outside of the Reuniclus, everything on my opponent's team is going to be outspeeding and killing me. So, honestly, if there was ever a time to let Great Tusk go, it's probably now. And if they want to get greedy and try and set up a Swords Dance on my predicted switch, they're going to be punished. But they are not messing around. Grey has used Great Tusk a lot in the past. They know exactly what it can do. So it is going to be the Grassy Glide that just comes in and takes out my Great Tusk. And we see that this is a Life-Orbed Rillaboom. That could be quite dangerous. But at this point, there's not much else I want to go into other than my Hisuian Quillfish. We're going to be able to get an Intimidate to try and nullify a little bit of that Life Orb damage that it can do with the likes of High Horsepower, which it's probably going to be packing. Let's be honest, I've got an Iron Moth and a Hisuian Quillfish here. It's going to have the ground coverage. But, you know, I'm very physically defensive on Hisuian Quillfish. I'll have an Intimidate off. I will be able to take that hit and try and get some chip damage with the Barbed Barrage, and maybe even see an opportunity to get a Spike Up if that opportunity presents itself. So, Hisuian Quillfish is going to come in here and get that Intimidate. Now, I am just going to go for the Barbed Barrage off-rip. There's not a whole huge amount that wants to come in and take a potential Toxic from that. So, that's going to be my play. See how much damage we can do to this Rillaboom and try and put it in range of something else further down the line. So, in comes the High Horsepower. That is going to do under half to me from the Rillaboom. And as you see, I actually do opt to go for a Spike here. Now, maybe I should have gone for damage and just try and whittle this Rillaboom down as much as possible. But I'm happy with the amount of damage I've taken. After Grassy Terrain, it's done exactly 100 points. And I get a Spike Up, which is nice. There is no removal on my opponent's side. So now what I'm going to do is click Barbed Barrage and try and do some decent damage to this Rillaboom. The quicker I can get it out of the way, realistically, the better. If I can limit what they can do with their Sneasler, which is looking like it could well be that Unburdened set, then that would be great for me. So, while I should have gone for Barbed Barrage last time, we get a Spike Up, which is always nice. This time I am going to go for Barbed Barrage and just try and get some damage. As you'll see, it's going to do just under half, which is nice. They're going to stay in and keep going for High Horsepower, clearly just trying to whittle me down, which is a little bit dangerous, and looks like we could be working to a Ceruledge endgame, because this is one of the things that really stops that dead. So I do want to try and maintain my Hisuian Quillfish. Interesting to note there, you'll notice it is a speed tie between the two of us, which is quite interesting. But seeing that they are looking for just consistent damage onto my Hisuian Quillfish, I'm going to make an aggressive switch here. I'm going to go into Uni right about now, hoping that they're going to stay in and keep clicking high horsepower. We get the early switch, so they might be staying in. As you'll see, it is going to be Uni that comes in and hits the field, but our opponent is going to make a switch of their own, and they are going to pull back into the Darkrai. This is a little bit spooky. You'll notice that they take the spikes damage. I was thinking that this was going to be a Scarfed Darkrai, and if it is, I can't be staying in here with my Kilowattrel, because I don't think that Grey is going to think I'll be Scarfed's Kilowattrel. I just get the feeling that they're going to think that's not how I'm going to play it. So what I'm going to do here is make the switch into P2. Try and scout for that Scarfed set if possible. So, I'm going to get out of there with Uni. I'm still going to need Kilowattrel later on. I am going to go into Porygon 2. As we'll see, we're going to trace the bad dreams, which isn't going to matter. Darkrai is just going to go for the Dark Pulse here, which is fine. It really doesn't do all that much damage to me. And we're still getting that grassy terrain, although now it is gone. Now, from here, I can start trying to go for Tri-Attack damage. If this thing is Scarfed, it is going to be switching out here. There's no sense in Scarfed Darkrai staying in on P2. It did a little bit more damage than I would anticipate from Timid Scarf, so I'm kind of thinking it might be Modest Scarf. In which case they are going to want to get on out. So here I am considering doubling rather than just going for the Tri-Attack. And I do decide to make that double. I'm going to get on out of there and go back into my Hisuian Quillfish, imagining the Reuniclus was going to come in. But as you see, that doesn't happen, and this Darkrai is going to go for knockoff. That's unfortunate. That's gotten rid of my Eviolite on Hisuian Quillfish, and now it's very much under threat. So, haven't got that right. I really thought the Reuniclus was going to come in to try and sponge and maybe set up on my P2, which it certainly could do, but now I am an Eviolite-less Hisuian Quillfish in front of a Darkrai, and that is not a position I want to be in. So I'm going to go back into my Porygon 2 here to try and sponge a special hit coming in from this Darkrai, which I will be able to do very easily with P2. As you'll see, the Darkrai is going to stay in and just go for Dark Pulse, clearly not fearing anything that my Quillfish can do. And here, I click Tri-Attack so quickly. I was spamming A and I didn't really mean to click it. I probably would have clicked it anyway, because a knockoff won't do too much unless that happens. That is a big crit, because without that crit, it's looking like we would have taken another Dark Pulse and been able to recover up. That crit knockoff means that the next Dark Pulse will take out P2, and there's nothing I can do about it. Once again, much as with Great Tusk, everything except Reuniclus is going to KO P2 from here before I can get a recover off. That crit knockoff was very unfortunate, but it is the game we play. I certainly haven't played my Eviolite core very effectively here. I am just going to go for Tri-Attack in case we can live the Dark Pulse, but unfortunately we cannot. Porygon 2 is going to go down here, and this Darkrai is still looking mighty threatening. With my defensive core pretty much in tatters, I now have to play very aggressively, but I know that Grey likes to aggressively speed creep with things, so I'm kind of banking on the fact that this thing not being Scarfed, I'm also thinking it probably isn't max speed, which means that my max speed Kilowattrel is guaranteed to outpace. So what I'm going to do here, go into it and just click Hurricane. I want a large amount of damage on something, anything. I don't really care what it is. I just want to be able to hit a Hurricane onto something, get that big damage, and go from there. Now, Grey is not enjoying that particular option. They're going to get on out of there with Darkrai, and they're going to go into the Reuniclus here. and gets it hurt by the spike, so we know that it is Regenerator. Gonna go for the Hurricane. That is gonna do nothing. This is an Assault Vest Reuniclus for sure, and this is not something that I particularly want to stay in on. I know I need my Kilowattrel now that I've seen that it is almost certainly the fastest thing on the field, with that Darkrai not in fact being Choice Scarfed. I'm going to need Kilowattrel to be at as much health as possible. I cannot afford to take a hit from this Reuniclus, so what I'm going to do is make the play into my Hisuian Quillfish. If they choose to go for a coverage move and it gets taken out, kind of so be it. But if they go for like a Psychic Noise or a Psychic or a Psyshock or whatever, I'll be able to take it and at least get off some kind of meaningful damage somewhere with my Hisuian Quillfish. So that is the play I'm going to make. Get on out of there with Uni, and we're going to go back into our Hisuian Quillfish. Get the Intimidate, which isn't going to matter. Gray sees this one coming very nicely and is going to make the play of going for Focus Blast, and that's going to take out my Hisuian Quillfish. So we are down 5-3 here. It's not looking good, but my 3 are all at full health, which is nice. And we have a very threatening setup sweeper. We have possibly the fastest thing on the field, and we still have our main check to Sneasler intact in the form of Iron Moth. At this point, I don't have a choice in the matter, seeing how little Kilowattrel did, and knowing that I can't go into Iron Moth. It has to be Haxorus, and we have to try and do something now. So, in comes Haxorus for the first time this season. Now, the Reuniclus I'm anticipating to be a bulkier Assault Vest build. I don't think it's going to be able to take me out in one hit. So what I am going to do here is I am just going to click Dragon Dance and kind of force Grey to pick something to die, because that is just the power of Haxorus. You click Dragon Dance, something is taking a massive hit or just straight up going down. I'm going to go for the Dragon Dance. I guess Grey knew that I wouldn't be able to take this Reuniclus out from full no matter what. It is clearly a bulkier build, and in comes the Psychic Noise, and that does quite a lot of damage, actually. Not particularly happy with how much damage that did. It was a lot. I can't take another hit, but assuming that this thing is more of a specially bulky Reuniclus, a Dragon Claw at +1 should be taking out at least a max HP Reuniclus from there. So at this point, yeah, it pretty much is pick a fodder time for Grey. They have to pick something to go down here. I don't think they're going to want it to be the Reuniclus. It clearly answers my Kilowattrel quite well. So they're going to have to choose the least useful member of their team, and it's looking like it's probably going to be Rillaboom, which does two things. It gives Grey a perfectly good sack, and it also allows for the grassy terrain to be set up one more time, and if that is indeed an unburdened Sneasler, that will allow that in, but I don't really have a choice here. I kind of just have to go for the hit. And as suspected, the Reuniclus is going to get on back, so that's going to be at near enough full health when it comes back into regen, and it is going to be that Rillaboom that comes in. It's going to take the spikes damage, and it is going to go down, but very crucially, it's going to get that grassy terrain up in the process. Dragon Claw is going to claim victim, and Rillaboom is going to go down, so Haxorus is off the mark for the season, but that is the grassy terrain up, and that kind of means that the Sneasler could be coming in here. And what do you know, Ron Sneasley is going to hit the field, it's going to take the spikes, and it is going to show that it is the Grassy Seed. That is a problem. Its defense is up, and now we are going to be potentially in a world of pain, because the grassy terrain means my Earthquake is not going to be doing nearly enough. Now, I have a few choices here. I could just go hard into my Iron Moth and try and save my Haxorus, but I don't see Haxorus being able to set up on anything, and the Sneasler and Darkrai can always come in, so I'm going to opt to stay in, because there is one other thing that might save me. If this Sneasler is packing Dual Stab and maybe, for example, Sub Sword Stance, which I thought it could be in front of my Quillfish, then I can go Tera Poison, live any stab hit, and try and take this thing out with Dragon Claw. So I am going to pop my Tera Poison on Haxorus, hoping that this Sneasler is not carrying any meaningful coverage to hit me and is going for one of its dual stabs, Gunk Shot or Close Combat. If that's the case, we will live and we'll be able to get some really useful damage off, but Grey's a better player than that. They are packing the Acrobatics, and that is going to take out my Haxorus. it was a risk I felt was worth taking. Tera Electric would be useful, but as we know, it's not going to do anything, even with Tera Electric, to that Reuniclus. So I figured risking them going for a dual stab move and me being able to get some damage off was worth me going for the Tera. As it isn't going to work out. So I'm going to go into my Iron Moth. It is my dedicated answer to this Sneasler, and thank God it is still here. I am going to click the Fiery Dance. Like, I can't really mess around going for Discharge here. It has to be Fiery Dance to get as much damage off onto this Sneasler as possible. Knowing that it isn't banded, it shouldn't be able to 2-hit Chaos. They are just going to go for the U-turn, do pitiful damage, and we get a bit of Rocky Helmet chip, which is nice. Fiery Dance is going to be my move of choice. Now, it's 4v2 and it's not looking great for me, but the pieces I have left do have an outside chance of doing some work here. What I need is big chip damage onto the Reuniclus if possible, so I'm really hoping that I see that come in now. The important thing to note is that Unburden is now gone from Sneasler, so Kilowattrel will outspeed. Unfortunately for me, Grey is going to go into the Ceruledge, which means this Fiery Dance is going to do nothing. However, this is not necessarily over. It's going to take a lot of luck, but we can still do this with Kilowattrel. What I can't afford to do is switch Kilowattrel in directly to this Ceruledge. However, I am physically defensive, so even if this thing goes Terra Ghost and hits a Poltergeist, we will live and we'll be able to get some really meaningful discharge damage off. Excuse me. So, they are going to go with the Terra Ghost. Now, I naturally outspeed, and I'm EV'd to outspeed a max invested Ceruledge. So we're going to get this discharge off anyway. It'll just do a little bit of chip, and we might be able to go from there. So discharge is going to come in. It's going to do not a whole huge amount. There's special defense investment there. We do get the paralysis, which is not much for anything on speed because everything I've got left outpaces. In comes the Poltergeist, which we are definitely going to be able to live because of our investment, unless that happens. Another crit is going to take us out from near full. That would never have KO'd without the crit. It is very unfortunate. What it means is, ostensibly, we are not going to be able to get any Rocky Helmet chip damage from an incoming Shadow Sneak. And what I really need to happen here is for a lot of luck to come my way. I basically just have to lock in on Hurricane and hope for paralysis or hope for confusions. It is the only shot I have anymore. So we are going to go for Hurricane. We are going to hit. It's looking like it's a 2-hit KO, but unfortunately that Flashfire boosted Blitterblade is going to be able to come through. There is no paralysis for me, unfortunately. Kilowattrel is going to go down here, and that, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the game. So yeah, rough one that, really rough. We take a big 4-0 loss early on. Can't really say too much against Grey there. Grey is a fantastic player. We all know this by now. And again, their links down in the description below. Make sure you check them out. They're putting out some fantastic battles. They've had a lot of success with championships recently. You will learn a lot from watching, so definitely do that. Yeah, we got unfortunate there, it has to be said. That endgame, it probably didn't matter, because all I was looking at was being able to either get another discharge off or get some Rocky Helmet chip once they went for Shadow Sneak. And sort of go from there, and it would basically be in the same position. The really unlucky one was the crit knockoff into P2, because I can tell you right now, that Ceruledge was Poltergeist, Bitterblade, Shadow Sneak, and Bulk Up, I believe it was. Which means my Trace Porygon 2 100% walled it. There was nothing it could do to me. So that sucked. But, you know, it also, you know, meant that Quillfish would be able to 1v1 it fairly effectively with Crunch and Haze. But by the time the Ceruledge came in, both of those mons were gone. I didn't play my Violet Core very well. I got unlucky with it, but I didn't play it well. And, you know, Grey identified very early on, I know from speaking to them afterwards, that endgame Ceruledge was very much a possibility once the chip damage that was necessary was got, and they managed to do that incredibly effectively. So yeah, the hacks onto the crit into Iron Moth was unfortunate. I don't think it was game changing, but it was kind of just salt in the wound at that point, you know. But the upshot of it is we take a big 4-0 loss in week 1. Plenty of time to turn things around though, you know, we've got 8 more games to go. We have time to do this. It is not over by any stretch of the imagination. It's going to be tricky because we are going, next week, we are going from playing someone we've played a lot and know very well to playing someone we've never played and don't know at all. We are going to be going up against Game Dex, who is someone I don't know personally. I don't really know how they play. It's going to be an adventure, it's going to be exciting, but we definitely need a win. So keep your eyes peeled for that going up next week. Remember once again to check out Gray and everyone else in the league, links down in the description. But I'm going to get out of here. I've rambled on far too long, so my final thank you to you all for watching. And I guess with that, I'll see you next time. Laters.